Welcome, everyone, to the Vision Untethered podcast, conversations with inspirational leaders and founders. My name is Jill Simonds, founder of Savvy Strategic Partners. We are a full service dedicated leadership team of fractional executives who are executing vision, increasing business value, and helping founder owners realize freedom. Today, I am super excited to welcome my guest, Joseph Hughes, founder of Contractor Dynamics, a leading marketing and business development company specializing in helping contractors grow their businesses. With a deep understanding of the construction industry, Joseph has built a powerful platform that helps contractors generate more leads, improve their marketing strategies, and scale their operations. His expertise empowers contractors to reach their ideal customers and increase profitability through effective digital marketing and personalized business solutions. Welcome to the show, Joe. Excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's fun to hang out with you here on a Friday, and I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to this.
me too. Happy Friday, too. So, this is less about your expertise in marketing and the amazing work you do for the contractor industry, and more about you, your passion, your purpose, journey as a visionary leader. So, first and foremost, what is your purpose and passion, and what inspired you into business ownership, especially in this industry?
My purpose and my passion. I love our purpose here at Contractor Dynamics, as stated on our website. I'll give you kind of the official and then kind of the behind that. Our
Yeah.
purpose is to equip people and companies with the tools to transform and grow. And that is also really my personal purpose. I love helping people. I've been blessed by others who have helped me along the way, whether it's business or fitness or any other area of life. So I really do enjoy that. Love people person. Just really love like collaborating with different people. One of my favorite quotes is from Proverbs in the Bible, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens
Mm,
another. So that
yeah.
drives a lot of what I do and a lot of what we do here at Contractor Dynamics. So,
Mm.
uh, yeah, so that's that. And the second part of that question was, how did I get into this, or why was that it?
Yeah, what led you to choose what it is you do, this industry specifically as well?
I didn't, well, I did have a choice, but it's in my blood. I grew up in the
Okay.
construction industry in my family's business
Hmm.
as a sixth generation family member. So got to
Yeah.
work with my dad and my cousins and all a lot of family. And that company, Hughes Marine Firms, is based in New Jersey and New York City. They're 131 years old this year, so they've been going for a
Wow.
while. So I had the
Okay.
opportunity to grow up in that business, learn a lot, and learn a lot of those skills. And so I had the construction kind of in my blood and have a
Hmm.
passion for business and marketing, particularly.
Yeah.
So 2013 started Contractor Dynamics to combine the construction background. We saw the need for marketing in the construction industry, and 12 years later, here we are.
Wow. So, what's a pivotal failure and kind of a reframe of that failure that you've encountered throughout this journey of what, yeah, 12, 11, 12 years later? And how did addressing it shape your growth strategy?
Man, that's a big one. So I talk about this a lot. It was about growing up, kind of in a blue collar industry.
Hmm.
One of those people that like I'm not the smartest, I'm not the most athletic, but I learned to work really hard to
Hmm.
do pretty well in different areas of life. And so when I started my business, that kind of Puritan work ethic was like, okay, I'm just gonna like put my head down and grind and just figure this out on my own. I don't need to ask for help. I've got it. Looking back, that's partially ego. That's kind of like your environment when
Hmm.
you're brought up in. And
Yeah.
so for the first like 2 or 3 years, I struggled in business because I was trying to figure out all on my own. And then part of that was ignorance. I just didn't, I thought like for some reason, this is crazy, but I thought that our business, like marketing for the construction industry, was unique and that like no one else
Hmm.
knew that industry. So I had to like be a trailblazer and figure it out. Well,
Mm.
I met 3 years in, I hired my first business coach, Tim Conley, and got in a small group coaching program, joined my first
Yeah.
mastermind, which I'm actually still in today, which is crazy 10 years later.
Yeah.
And that was a pivotal moment for me because I'm like, oh, like Tim's 10 years older than me. He had bought and sold marketing companies. I was like, oh, you've been here and done this. Like, you understand the problems that I'm going through and you know how to like kind of navigate some of this. He's like, yeah, of
Mm,
course. And so that was kind of a big light bulb moment for me, that I could set aside my ego and I could learn from others. I didn't have to fail at all the things on my own. Of course, we're going to have stumbling blocks here and there,
yeah.
but I could leverage the experience, expertise of others who have been there and done that. So since then, that's been a big part of everything in my life, whether it's
Hmm.
whether it's again like fitness or like business, is tapping into communities of people, whether it's a business coach or masterminds, or a company like yours that like has figured some of these things out before, so we can
Mm,
minimize some of that downside. So
yeah.
that's huge, and then more so leaning on our leadership team and our whole team here at Contractor Dynamics. I also had the mistaken belief that I, as the visionary, had to figure out everything on my own and then kind of
Hmm.
cascade that down to everyone. And that's just been over the past couple of years. I've learned that that does not need to be the case. So
Right.
that's been kind of very freeing as well. So that's enabled us
Hmm.
to grow because I'm not the bottleneck for everything.
Right. How have you been able to foster that as the origin of this organization and knowing that you're not the only source of truth for the competency in the team and knowing the answers in decision making? How have you fostered that within your leadership team?
Vulnerability is what comes to mind first. So again, I
Mm,
thought that me as the leader, as the founder, as the 100% owner, I need to go figure this thing out. So, for example,
yeah.
like the financial aspect of the business. I have a finance degree from a pretty good business college, but like that doesn't translate into knowing how to run the business, right?
Mm,
You don't know anything until you go out and get kicked in the teeth. So anyway,
yeah.
I thought I had to have everything in the financial department of our small business like outlined and nice and tidy, and then I could pass it off to someone like Elizabeth at the time.
Yeah.
And then we hired our fractional CFO, Rob, and I was like, oh, I don't listen. I'm horrible at this. I procrastinate on this aspect of the business because I'm focused on marketing and sales and bringing in business, and I'll just
Yeah.
wait till the last minute to do the financial things of the business. I'm horrible at it. It's a weakness of the company. Please help me. Like I'm putting my hands up. Like please help me. And they're like, oh yeah, like I love doing that. That's what gets me up in the morning. I love doing this stuff. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
So that's been great. Just have being vulnerable and being self-aware enough to say like, hey, I love doing these things in the business. I'm pretty good at these things. These other things, like I really need
Yeah.
help.
Mm,
So that's been huge. And I'm still, every day I'm kind of like, they call it letting go in EOS language. So I'm trying to let go more and more every day.
yeah. Ooh, can we talk about that too? Because I was just talking with an EOS implementer about this within LinkedIn yesterday, and the continual need requirement to always be delegating, elevating, and
Mhm.
moving in that forward momentum. How do you keep that front and center and that awareness when you're aware of it? How do you ensure that your actions follow too?
Um, so right now on my wall, like behind you, across from me, is our
Yeah.
goals for the year, is my vision board and our big goal for the
Okay.
year. And so I'm constantly looking at that. And so that serves as a filter for every decision. Ideally, right? Every
Yeah.
decision is, hey, do I do this podcast interview? Do I go to this event? Like, do we try this new service? Does it help us get to our goal? And
Hmm.
so an example of that was just yesterday, which I think so many business owners can probably relate to this. It's really hard where you get someone that might be referred to you as a prospective customer and they want to talk with you, like me as the owner,
Hmm.
as kind of in like that sales process, right? And so we've decided that that's not the best use of my time. We have Kevin and Elizabeth on our team that they're way
Hmm.
better at that now than I am as far as having those sales oriented conversations. So
Right.
just navigating that kind of
Mm.
delicately So just yesterday, there's a guy, his name's Anthony, and he's like, are you the one that does these calls? And I was like, no, actually, I'm not. Kevin and Elizabeth are, but don't worry, we're not a huge company. We're not gonna, it's just not just some random sales rep. Like, here's our about
Hmm.
us page on our website. You can learn a little bit more about them before that phone call. So he was like, oh, great, thanks for clarifying.
Hmm.
So that's just kind of as an owner sometimes want to be like, oh yeah, like I have that feeling that this guy wants to talk to me as the owner.
Right.
Um, but he really doesn't. I don't really know him. He just wants to know that he's going to be taken care of and he's not going to be farmed out to some, random person that's just going to try to sell him.
Right.
So that's an example of something where those sales calls aren't the best use of my time. I'm
Hmm.
not the best. I'm by far not the best at them in our company. So, we just got to be aware of that.
Yeah, yeah. What are some indicators for you, and especially through over a decade-long journey, that you specifically may have been too deeply involved in operations? You talked a lot about kind of one man show or feeling like you had to be the hero and the one figuring everything out. How did that, and how does that limit a company's ability to scale?
Oh man, it's the worst because we try to do it all, and it's the classic like, okay, this thing needs to be done. I can do it in 15 minutes, or I can spend an hour and record my screen on Loom or whatever it is and delegate this thing to someone else. And so
Hmm.
often we're like, I'll just knock it out. I don't have the time to like, explain it to someone else. And then we end up doing that for years. So now when I delegate something, I will record my screen doing it and I'll take the time to do it so that
Hmm.
it might take me 3 or 4 times longer. But my mindset in that moment is I'm gonna document this via
Hmm.
Loom, and it's gonna be the last time that I ever do this thing. And so that's cool from a tactical aspect. And then from more of a
Hmm.
leadership standpoint, I've realized, and other people on our team have helped me realize this, like when I'm holding on to things and not delegating them, I am depriving other people on our team the opportunity to learn and grow and build new skill
Yeah.
sets.
Hmm.
So last year we brought on admin assistant Kira in our
Hmm.
marketing department, and Sydney, who's our marketing director, sits in that marketing seat. She called me out on it. She's like, "Hey, you keep doing this thing because I know you're kind of doing it last minute, but Kira's behind on her training because she's not able to like learn this thing from you. So can you
Mm.
please like let her do it?" Like she said
Right.
that in the kindest way possible. So
Hmm.
that was an eye opener for me. I'm like, oh, it's yeah, I'm holding other people back from like growing and developing new skills because I am
Right.
just being, classic kind of guy that's trying to do it all.
Right. Right. Is there anything within like control that you can talk about regarding that? We've worked with a lot of clients that business owners that take back that control and maybe not knowing every single intricate detail of how something is getting accomplished or how it's getting done. How do you flex with the how? Even with staying steady on the vision, the what and the why we're doing what we do.
Right.
How does control play a dynamic then and letting go of that? How do you let go of how a team does something or how someone specifically accomplishes what's needed?
Yeah. We all have an ego. We all have some level of wanting to control too much. I think. I
Hmm.
really am not. I'm not. I don't believe I'm that controlling. I really don't mind how something gets done.
Hmm.
So an example recently was we are switching billing software because it was kind of a mess before. We have a new integrator. He's like, "Hey, this is a mess. We need to change." And he
Hmm.
did his research, had some meetings with some software companies and different solutions. And he called me and he's like, "Hey, I just want to get your kind of sign off on this before we move forward. This is what we're thinking. What do you think?" And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good to me. And then a couple of days later, I'm like, hey, Steve, actually, it was at our annual a couple of weeks ago. We were going through a team building exercise. I was like, one of the things that I don't really need is you could have just signed up for that thing without like letting me know. I don't want to say I don't care, but like I don't have the context to say yes or no or otherwise. So just do it. I don't really care as long as we have a way to collect money that's seamless for our team. Great. Um, so that was
Hmm.
an example of that.
Yeah.
But
That's a
it's,
perfect
I'm sure
example of
there's
that.
things that as I say that, that sounds okay, that's great, pat myself
Hmm.
on the back or whatever. But I'm sure there's a dozen things right now that our team is probably like, yeah, I wish Joe would just stop doing that. So
Yeah.
it's a constant evolution, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, well, and probably just that first step you've taken in awareness and your willingness to listen to the team and those that have been able to communicate that to you shows the culture and the foundation that you've built in a dynamic where they can say those things and you do listen and you do apply it. It may take those baby steps, but even those little tactical pieces like that all add up. It's all the small things sometimes that can make a team feel like they're held back or need to get you involved in decisions. So that awareness and that foundation and trust sounds like you're well on your way for sure. Just the awareness, it sounds like far more aware, I think, than a lot of business owners are, and just their need to control.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Well, a lot of that comes back to, as you would know, is having your clear vision of where you're going, and then having your core values and
Hmm.
having your team core value
Yeah.
aligned. And so those things, that's the foundation. So that
Hmm.
enables you to let go. So maybe if there's a leader out there where you're struggling to let go, I would challenge people to look at, hey, do you have a clear vision that is understood by all? Do you have documented core values that you're living by, that everyone's living by? Is your team core value aligned? So that way you
Hmm.
can let go and just trust, like, okay, Elizabeth's going to do whatever she does today, make decisions. I know they're going to be aligned with
Hmm.
our core values and our mission, and our goals. I don't have to worry
Yeah,
about that.
definitely. Yeah. What are some missteps, or maybe one that might come to mind that taught you the most about aligning vision and effective execution? How did you apply that lesson to move the team forward, to move the business forward?
Hmm. A misstep when the vision was not aligned.
Hmm.
Um,
With execution.
that would we got caught up. No, no, I don't want to say we got caught up because it's all good. But we go to a lot of events in our industry, so we're sponsoring. We are, going to the conference. We're having a booth, and we're sometimes
Hmm.
speaking at those events. And it's we did kind of get caught up in saying yes to everything, which there's a point in the business where that's kind of necessary depending on your goals. You want to say yes, 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 get yourself out there, and then you kind of
Hmm.
assess like which events are worth it, which aren't the best use of time. So we are doing a lot of events, traveling all over the country. There's always an opportunity cost, your
Yeah.
time, your energy invested into traveling to Denver, for example. There's other things that you could be doing. So this year, at the end of last year and this year, we're in January now recording this. We're very
Hmm.
intentional about like what fits our criteria for going to an event or sponsoring an event based on our goal. So for
Hmm.
example, there's one in Dallas just 2 days ago, actually, where one of our strategic partners was throwing this event. They wanted us to be a part of it as far as like co-host the event together,
Hmm.
and it just didn't fit our criteria as far as how much time would be invested on our end, how many people would be there. It's a smaller event. Is that the best use of time, or should we focus our firepower on fewer events that are going to be more impactful based on
Hmm.
our goals? So
Yeah.
that's a thing where we kind of got caught up. We were just like literally flying all over the country, exhausting ourselves, and then we would look at the ROI from each event, like, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
really worth our time. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's an example I can think of there.
Definitely. And kind of at a macro level from that, just in general, where energy is utilized, where you're prioritizing where time is spent. So whether it's at industry events and business development, even in the day to day, can can encompass a lot of that as well. Just knowing what are the most impactful use of the team's energy, time, and the opportunity cost that there is when you are trying to do too much at one time, just across the board.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
we saw that like when I hopped on this podcast, I was a little bit like I needed to like take a couple deep breaths because I was running around before it. And that
Hmm.
was a Zoom meeting that I probably it was Elizabeth and I in that Zoom meeting, and I should not have been on it.
Hmm.
Looking back on it, and she'll probably tell me that later in our same page meeting. She'll be like, "Yeah, you didn't need to be on that." So
Hmm.
that was something where I said yes because I kind of like felt an obligation, but not the best use of my time. So
Right.
yeah, like I said, it's constantly just looking at your calendar and being aware of where your time and energy are going. That's huge.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. What are some of the common psychological barriers that prevent business owners from stepping back? And how can these obstacles be identified? And then systematically, how can you overcome them?
I think I'm trying to think like where I'm still holding on and not stepping back. And I think it comes
Hmm.
down to really not not sharing the vision enough and clearly enough with the team.
Hmm.
Um, so for example, one of our things that we're working on this, well, it's not really a rock, but one of our initiatives for this whole year is how can we improve our client experience? We think it's already pretty good, but we want to continue to level that up. And so I have ideas in my head on what an amazing client experience looks like. And I might
Hmm.
typical visionary, like I'll read a book or I'll listen to a podcast, like, oh yeah, we need to do that. That would be freaking amazing. And I don't end up like I just get too busy or I forget and I don't share that with the team. So I have this idea of what an awesome client experience looks like, but I'm not like cascading that to anyone else. So then
Yeah.
I might tend to, dabble in that, like, oh, what are we doing to serve our clients? What are we doing for onboarding? What are we doing for that? And that's really like taking ownership of that. Like I
Yeah.
can I can let go if I'm just like, hey guys, here's what I think an amazing client experience would be like. Let's work on that and get everyone
Hmm.
on the same page. That way everyone can execute without me needing to like meddle in that, you know?
That's great. That's great.
And we do have great leaders. Our client success director Lily has taken that on. Like
Hmm.
she's owning that. So like I feel like we are more on the same page with that than we were before. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So, with your background too in family business, over what was it, 130
Er,
years from
Yeah,
the family
well, I'm
business?
not 130 years old yet. I'm old, but not that old. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, good. Glad we clarified that.
yes.
Um, within that experience, what have you seen with excessive involvement in a business and its effect on the value of the business, the readiness you've probably seen or witnessed at least, or been a part of within that line of family business, some forms of transition, secession, change of ownership, lots of change of roles, maybe.
Yep.
So I'm curious, yeah, what have been, what are some of the uh, signs and evidence of excessive involvement and its effect on the value of the business during their transitions or succession processes?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have my experience, and we also work with so many clients who are going through that generational transition. So,
Hmm.
that's the 60-year-old guy that started the company, and now the 30-year-old son or daughter is taking over. And
Hmm.
so yeah, it's a lot. I'm meeting with one of our clients recently, like about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it ended up being kind of a therapy session. I met with the son who's kind of taken over, and he's like, "What do I do? Like my dad's like, not letting go, and we don't have anything. We want to do these things. Like they're working with us for
Hmm.
marketing, and that's new to them, and it's
Hmm.
just the dad has the relationships, and the next generation doesn't have those relationships, so they're looking to do more marketing and brand awareness and bring in some new technology and things like that. So
Right.
um yeah, I mean it's you get into some kind of family dynamics and all of that, but I think it comes
Hmm.
down to just having that clear vision and getting everyone on the same page with that. And the son can go to the dad, be like, hey dad, like we said that this is our goal, this is our vision. Um,
Yeah.
you being in here meddling, like we're not gonna get there. So like everything goes back to that vision. What do you want and why? And then you can kind
Mm,
of, hold people accountable to that vision. Um, yeah,
yeah.
that's my experience.
Yeah. Do you see an extension of contractor dynamics being contractor business, family business dynamics, being, being a therapist, and consulting on businesses in that realm? I'm only kidding. You said
No, I mean, well,
the
we do have
dynamics,
our
but
we
you
do
do
have a
have,
mastermind for our clients that we run, and we
okay.
do touch on different things like that. But that's
Yeah.
definitely, it's always one of our questions, like how much do we get into that versus how much do we
Hmm.
stay committed to our core focus. So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure there's opportunities. Actually, we were just talking about that on Wednesday a little bit,
Oh,
but
funny. I was half joking.
no, I mean, because it all goes into one. I mean, like
Yeah,
you can't just like crush it at marketing and neglect other areas of the business.
totally.
So yeah, I don't know. There's opportunities there, but I'm always
Hmm.
like, I'm a big fan of keeping the main thing, and focusing,
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it just has a good ring to it and tie in with dynamics and the use of the word dynamic when it
Right,
comes to
right.
family family
Yeah, it keeps
business
it
dynamic.
right. It keeps it open, right? We're not,
Hmm.
contractormarketing.com. So we have some range there if we want.
Hmm. Absolutely. Love it. What role does cultivating a strong and autonomous company culture play in enabling your business to operate independently of you more and more as time goes on? And what strategies do you recommend to foster that culture?
Wow, I love that one. We are 100% remote, so we have 14 of us right now, and we're
Hmm.
all over the country and one international. So, and it's been that way for most of the business's history. And so we have to over index on communication. So
Mm.
we have our annual, we follow EOS. We have our annual leadership meeting. We had that 2 weeks ago in Nashville. Following that, we had our state of the company meeting where we, get everyone on Zoom for an hour. And hey, here's our goals, our rocks. Here's what's going on for this year. Here's our initiatives. Here's what events
Hmm.
we're going to. So making sure that we do that. We didn't always do that. I've been guilty of that, just kind of forgetting to let people on the team know like what's going on, or we're going to this event.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of hiring full-time employees in the past, and team members found out via social media because I just forgot. Like I wasn't hiding it. I just like, oh, I
Mm.
forgot that we hired this salesperson, and yeah, you just saw the announcement on LinkedIn. Sorry about that.
Right.
So we're getting better at that. Because we have a leadership team that gets me out of my own way. But yeah, the
Yeah.
full team meeting every Monday. We use Slack for team communication. Um, we have a ring the bell channel in Slack, which I love because all of our Google reviews get zapped into that channel, so we can kind of like celebrate
Mm.
virtually those reviews. And then we're
Mm.
always doing like every day, almost every day, someone's doing a core value shout out in
Love
our
it.
ring the bell channel, right? So hey,
Yeah.
ring the bell for Jill because she, worked on Saturday to get this project done, and she didn't have to, but appreciate that. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
fun. We do team building events when we can, when we go to these events, or we host our own events. We'll do like group workouts and things like that as a team. So yeah,
Mm.
we focus a lot more on that because it's hard to run a virtual company.
Yeah.
um so yeah, we over index on communication and structure, and everything's in the calendar. So if I want to meet with Elizabeth, I don't have to bug her. I could just go to our calendar and put a meeting in there if I want. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think we're pretty good at that.
For
we have
sure.
our we have our of course our L10 meetings every week. We have four of them every week. So we have leadership, sales, marketing, fulfillment. So
Hmm.
um those we do like non-negotiable. And that's something basic that we preach to our clients, like have regular meetings. Most people don't do that. So
Right.
that helps to build
Yeah,
that culture too. So
for sure.
yeah,
And
lots of
purposeful
things.
working meetings, right? Making sure they're not just meeting for the sake of meeting and we just kind of gather around to talk about things.
Oh yeah, that's the
That
worst.
they have
Yeah,
a purposeful agenda and we're working through roadblocks, barriers, things we need to solve for to do better, to keep moving. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. But then when you have that culture, you can like you don't have to no one has to micromanage because you're just like there's that trust and
Yeah.
you can even virtually just like you can pick up on people's vibe if someone's like just struggling with
Yeah.
something or like being that close even virtually you can pick up on that and support one another, which is really cool.
Absolutely. What about structure specifically? How has structure, even though that in concept, especially to a visionary, especially to an entrepreneur, can sound stifling or void of creativity or flexibility, how has structure actually set you free?
Well, I am not like an extreme visionary. I don't know what you would call me, but I am high S in a disc profile, so structure
Okay.
is my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
I love routine, morning routine. I love like my calendars all dialed in. So I do thrive in structure. So that probably comes a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more naturally to me than most visionaries that you might come across or might work with. But that's everything. Discipline equals freedom. Jocko Willink talks about that in his book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's everything. So yeah,
Love
we
it.
have calendar management training internally for all of our team members. We have our meetings every week. Same pages every week. So we have those recurring meetings every week. And then outside of that, we make sure that we're putting in our like solo work in our calendars. So like in my calendar, blue is for meetings and then green is my solo work where I'm working on marketing or a rock or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that structure enables us to move a lot faster.
Yeah.
And ideally we're sticking to those calendar blocks and we're not multitasking, which we're all guilty of. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean that's everything. I mean, when our
Totally.
clients, again, we work with our clients on marketing, but when they come to us like, hey, I'm running around with my hair on fire. What do I
Yeah.
do? And a lot of times it's like, yeah, dude, have weekly meetings, like get structured, work out every day, have a good morning routine to set yourself up for the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything.
Right. Yeah, it's in discipline and practice. How we do one thing is how we do everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And for
requires
those
that discipline.
and for those visionaries out there that are, more higher on the visionary scale, uh you're not gonna become that person. So get that person, get your integrator, so that they can run that for you, and hold you
Right.
accountable.
Yep, absolutely. So, what practical steps would you suggest to entrepreneurs struggling to delegate while maintaining alignment with their vision?
um I mean, I'm gonna sound like a broken record. I would literally look at your calendar and
Mhm.
and Rob Dubay talks about it in the book Shine, the 10 disciplines of a driven entrepreneur. He talks about know your 100%. So your 100% is the average number of hours that you're working every week times the number of weeks that you're working in a year.
Mhm.
So, for me, my sweet spot is 45 hours a week times however many weeks. I forget what I have down for my 100%. So I
Okay.
know that's me. I'm 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. Like that is my work block. We've got kids and sports and we've got other things and whatnot. So I know that 45 hours is my sweet spot. So like I need to get everything done in that, 45 or even less hours. And I have again our goal right there on the wall. I'm looking at it right now. So there's only
Mhm.
there's constraints. So once you put everything in the calendar, like I literally do not have time to do this thing. And I think as I know because I've been guilty of it and I still am, I'm sure, we try to like cram so much into our week and it's just not when we put it in the calendar, we realize like we just literally don't have time to do it all. And that leads to burnout. You know, we're staying up late, we're waking up early, working weekends, neglecting
Hmm.
family and all that. So if you're struggling to delegate, put everything you're doing in your calendar, do a time audit, look at how you're actually spending your time, look at your goals, look at, you know, what's the best use of your time, what's your unique ability, what do you love and what are you great at? Look at that quadrant, the delegate elevate quadrant,
Yeah.
or the four quadrant thing, whatever it's called. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Delegate and elevate.
and yeah,
Hmm.
and that's it. Like follow that exercise because we think we're superhuman, but we're not. So
Hmm. Love
yeah,
that. It's awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. To learn more about how Contractor Dynamics can help take businesses to the next level, where can our guests and listeners learn more?
pretty simple. Contractordynamics.com. We have a link to all of our social media on there. We have our podcast with 242 episodes right now. We have YouTube. We're pumping out dozens of pieces of content every week. So follow along for marketing, business, educational content, and we'd love to connect.
And thank you so much for being here. Fun time.
Thank you, Jill. It's been fun.
Yeah.